In case you needed reminding that what goes up must come down, you may have noticed some pretty steep declines recently among those vehicles that spiked as a result of high fuel prices and the devastation and disruption of the Japanese auto industry caused by the tsunami in March of this year. Fuel-efficient vehicles of all kinds were scarce and demand was high, and the market reacted normally to those conditions. That is to say, it rose considerably and lasted for quite a while. I was about to say that the market overreacted, but was reminded that markets don't overreact, people do. Anyway, the Toyota Prius was once again the poster child for the exuberant spiking of the Ocano car segment. The 2010 edition rising from $16,500 just before the tsunami struck to a peak of $21,000 2 months later. At one point, according to another price guide, you could have traded your 2010 20,000-mile Prius in for a 2011 new Prius, at list price of course, for a couple of $100s. That may have been a bit optimistic, but it makes the point. Further proof that there was scarcity of new vehicles in that segment is that the recently introduced Chevy Cruze became the top seller in that segment, something GM had not achieved since the Chevy Cavalier did it in 1993. Kudos to Chevy, but it did get an assist from production issues among some of its top competitors. The Prius has since dropped $3,700 to its current $17,300. All of that within the last 3 months. As I said, the Prius is the extreme example in the segment, but the rest of the segment has followed the pattern and has fallen considerably over the last few books as the most fuel-efficient segment returned to more normal levels. And the market in general has retreated to its customary pattern for the fall, eroding considerably as it normally does at this time of year. There's not much that is truly scarce in the market. Good price range vehicles with reasonable mileage are an exception. You'll find occasional vehicles that simply don't show up often to be an exception. Pearl white and tan vehicles with nav are usually an exception and may draw special attention. Other than that, most segments have more supply than their demand demands, and the market reflects that. We continue to say that the difference between the value of the exceptional vehicle and its ordinary in terms of mileage, condition, equipment, and color, its ordinary counterpart is significant. There's still good activity in the lanes as buyers look to fill gaps in their inventory, but there's enough product out there that they're selective about what they chase, and many vehicles have very little activity and are subject to the whims of the bottom feeders, price being their only real asset. Not a good situation for sellers, and the result is an abundance of no sales that are, of course, not reflected in auction transaction data. Our consultants watch that closely. Late model vehicles demand particular caution in many segments as incentives have been creeping up among manufacturers in general. European and Asian luxury vehicles have softened considerably, especially among those models with significant volume. Certain rental models are seeing very heavy volume, Nissan Altima S, for example, and have taken recent and relatively severe hits. Sport coupes and convertibles are suspect, as they usually are at this time of year. We don't expect things to change much in the near future, and think the market will continue to soften some as we move toward the holiday season.